I am Lucas Griffin, the one who has always been there for Cole Donovan since our school days. I know, no matter how much I try, I cannot hide the feelings inside me. They've been simmering for years, but I never had the courage to speak them out loud. My love for Cole was not just the love of a friend. It was deeper, heavier, but I never dared to hope he would feel the same. Cole and I first met when we were just naive boys in a small high school in a coastal town. He was strong, powerful, but also had a tenderness that I could only recognize when we sat together, talking about life, dreams, and the days that would never return. At that time, there was no special affection between us, but I always felt a unique connection between us. After graduation, Cole joined the military, a decision no one could stop, and I decided to stay in town, beginning my work in real estate. Though we were far apart, I still sent him letters and emails full of thoughts. And so, I waited, quietly waiting for the day he would return. The long days without seeing him only made me understand better the feelings of unrequited love. When Cole returned, I had found success in my career, while he had been changed by his time in the military. He was no longer the innocent boy I once knew. Now he was a grown man carrying a darkness that he could never express. But one thing didn't change, and that was the bond between us. However, I could never bring myself to speak the feelings I held for him because I knew that to him, we would always just be friends. There was also one more thing that complicated everything. While I had plans for my future, Cole was faced with an unexpected shock. One day, he received heartbreaking news. His parents had died in a tragic car accident. The loss was not only emotional, but also financially devastating for him. The farm his family owned was his parents' entire life, but a huge debt still loomed over him, waiting to be paid. While I worried for Cole, he met Mia, a beautiful woman who worked at a law office in town. Mia wasn't just stunning, she was also clever and had a special ability to capture the attention of the men around her. I couldn't help but notice the change in Cole when he began dating her. He had fallen for Mia, though I wasn't sure if she truly deserved him. Despite my doubts about her, Cole decided to marry Mia, and all I could do was watch from afar, witnessing him step into a marriage I didn't know where it would lead. The days after that, I could do nothing but continue with my own work and keep my distance from him. But each time I saw him with Mia, a quiet sadness rose inside me. Then one day, Cole called me with shocking news. Mia was pregnant. His whole life, which seemed to have finally stabilized, was once again thrown into turmoil. He asked me to meet him at the city cafe to share the news of the child that was on the way. But when I arrived, his eyes were filled with sorrow. I sat down and looked at the photos he handed me. He didn't say anything, just silently handed me his phone. On the screen was an image of the newborn child, a child with dark skin. In that moment, I felt like the world was crashing down around me. "Lucas," he whispered, "this baby isn't mine." A wave of shock swept over me. I didn't know what to say. The baby wasn't his, and that made everything even more complicated. Mia, the woman he loved, had betrayed him. What hurt even more was that she wanted him to raise the child as if nothing had happened. And her words, not only hurting him but also showing her cruelty, when she said that if he decided to divorce her, he would have to pay alimony and child support for that baby. "You're going to have to raise this baby, Cole," Mia said coldly. "And if you don't want to, it doesn't matter. You'll still have to pay for it." At that moment, I knew that Cole's situation couldn't continue like this. Not only had he lost love, but he was also being forced to accept a responsibility he hadn't caused. And I decided, this time, I wouldn't just stand on the sidelines. I would help Cole, no matter what it took, to get him out of this hellish life. I couldn't let Cole continue living in this hell. It wasn't fair. He deserved a different life, not the one Mia had planned for him. I looked into his eyes, where I saw nothing but disappointment and despair. That feeling, I never wanted to see him fall into. He was the only friend I had, and I couldn't let everything end like this. Mia had planned everything very carefully. She knew that if they divorced, she would not only have custody of the child, but also access to Cole's assets. She would seize everything, even the money from the farm, and in the end, Cole would be left with nothing but the ruins of a life. But I knew, if we didn't make a bold move, she would win, and Cole would lose. We'll make a plan, I said, my voice steady. Mia will not benefit from this. He looked up at me, his eyes red with worry, but I saw the glimmer of hope beginning to shine through. But how? She's made everything look legal. I can't fight her. Cole, if you want to take back your life, we have to play by her rules. But in our own way, I replied, trying to keep my tone calm. I couldn't let my emotions take over right now. This was the time to think everything through carefully. I had worked in finance and had some reliable connections. But to do this, I would have to go even further. I came up with a plan, but it would require all of our courage. And I knew Cole would not accept it easily. He was always straightforward, not one for complicated games. But this time, we had no choice. We began looking for ways to approach the farm's finances. I decided to raise Cole's credit limit to the highest possible. People would think he needed the money to sustain the farm. But in reality, all that money would be withdrawn, leaving no trace. Everyone would see a massive debt, while in fact, Cole would have nothing left to lose. I worried about Mia's reaction when she found out, but I couldn't let fear stop me. She had been playing this game for so long, and it was time we made her pay the price. Mia didn't know that, before we executed this plan, I had been very careful. I had enlisted some friends in banking to help secure all these financial transactions. Once I got the money, we would leave this place. Cole needed to get out of here, where everything only caused him more pain. He couldn't go back. He couldn't face Mia again. The following days passed in tension. Cole withdrew the money from the accounts, and I helped him purchase a small property near the border where he could start over. Everyone thought he would stay with Mia and the baby, but when I saw the look in Cole's eyes as he walked out of the old house, I knew he was starting a new life. That look, it wasn't disappointment, it was hope. Then came the moment of decision. Mia waited for Cole at home, hoping he would return, and then force him to sign the divorce papers she had prepared. But I had helped Cole prepare a surprise. Cole would disappear, and no one would be able to find him. We planned for an adventurous trip. One morning, a group of people would join a charity mountain climb organized by the police department. Cole, as part of the activity, would join as well. But this wouldn't be an ordinary trip. I had promised him I would help him escape, and this plan had to be perfect. While everyone was climbing, Cole and I had already prepared. He would cross a small stream and pretend to fall, being swept away by the fast current. The participants would witness this, and everyone would believe Cole had died. But in reality, he would quickly swim down to where I had prepared a hideout. We would get him out and to a safe location. I knew this might complicate things, but if Cole wanted to escape the trap Mia had set, he had no other choice but to accept this fake death. When everyone believed he was dead, I would take him far from here, where no one could find him. Cole's fake death went exactly as planned. Everyone thought he had been swept away in the flood, but they didn't know he had survived. I took Cole across the border to a new land, and there, he would start over, on a new farm, where no one could bother him again. Cole no longer had to worry about Mia or the baby that wasn't his. He had escaped his old life, and now it was time for him to build a new future. Everything went so smoothly that I couldn't believe our plan would succeed. Every small detail was carefully prepared. While Mia and everyone else continued to waste their time searching for Cole, we quietly left, leaving behind a mysterious disappearance. Everything had been meticulously calculated, leaving no trace except for a fruitless search. Mia, the one I always felt didn't deserve Cole, was now facing the truth that she no longer had control. Losing Cole was at least a first shock for her. But that was only the beginning of the nightmare she would have to face. When Cole and I were settled in a new place, I knew all we had to do was stay silent and leave no trace. Everyone believed Cole had died, and the truth about his faked death would only remain hidden if we acted carefully. But I couldn't stop thinking about Mia. I didn't want her to continue exploiting anyone else, especially when she might think she still had control over Cole's assets. Cole was not someone who found peace easily in his mind. Even in the new place, he still had to struggle with guilt, with what had happened, and with his own sense of loss. His whole life, up until now, seemed to always revolve around bad relationships and unforeseen shocks. The biggest loss wasn't the death of his family, but that he could never find a truly safe and happy place for himself. I knew there were moments in the dark of night when everything became silent. Cole would quietly sit and look into the distance, reflecting on what he had lost. I couldn't do anything to change the past, but I could be there, supporting him in moments like that. Sometimes, just having someone by your side. Sometimes, just knowing that no one could take your freedom away is the most important thing. I wouldn't dare say that we had won in this battle. There was still so much to be done to make sure Mia couldn't exploit anything further from this situation. But I could see that Cole was slowly regaining his confidence. He was no longer the helpless man I had met at the cafe when he discovered his wife's betrayal. Now, he had become a strong, resilient man. Still, the tension wasn't over. I couldn't stop thinking about the next steps. Mia was not the type to give up easily. She wouldn't lose everything without fighting for it. And I couldn't stop worrying about the risks ahead. I had heard she was preparing a lawsuit to reclaim the assets Cole had taken from the bank. That was a sign that Mia wasn't giving up any opportunity to seize everything, even if it meant using legal tricks. She won't easily give up, but I had already prepared plans to deal with it. I had contacted some friends in the banking industry, people who could help us manage all financial transactions and prevent Mia from deceiving anyone again. Meanwhile, I kept Cole in a safe place, far away from those who could harm him. I knew, even though Mia might file a lawsuit and do whatever it takes to get back what she thought she lost, in the end, Cole would prevail. Not because he had assets, but because he had the right to live the life he chose. That life, in the end, would belong to him, not anyone else. But no matter what, deep down, I still couldn't forget what had happened. Every battle, win or lose, has its price. And for me, that price was watching my friend fall into a situation that I couldn't save him from. But at least, I did everything I could to help him escape that hell. The story of Cole and me isn't over. And in my heart, no matter what, I always wonder if I did the right thing helping him through it all, or if I will have to pay a higher price for these decisions. But one thing I'm sure of, no matter what happens next, I will always protect Cole to the end. Not only because of friendship, but also because of the love I cannot express. Our plan isn't complete, and I can't stop worrying about everything that might happen. Mia is still out there, and she's not the type to give up easily. She's starting to feel Cole's absence, and will surely try to reclaim what she believes belongs to her. But I've prepared too much. I can't let that happen. As soon as Cole and I settled in a new place, I began thinking about how to stop Mia and her schemes. She wouldn't just let a property lawsuit slide without fighting to the end. The more I thought, the more tense I became. I knew that if she got everything, Cole would once again be trapped in the pit she had prepared for him. I can't let her keep deceiving everyone, I whispered to myself, determined to figure out how to complete our plan without giving her a chance to regain control. Mia wasn't just clever at making everything appear legal, she also had the help of a smart lawyer. This person could change everything to her advantage. But I knew one important thing. She didn't realize that Cole had made a smarter move, one that she probably never considered. And I was ready to turn the tables, not only to protect Cole, but also to push Mia's plans into a dead end. One afternoon, when the whole town was silent, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I had informed a few trustworthy friends in finance and banking. All of Cole's financial transactions were secured, leaving no traces for Mia to follow. But more importantly, I had found a way to put everything back on track, making it impossible for Mia to cling to what she thought was hers. One evening, I received news from a friend in the financial industry. Mia and her lawyer had gone to the bank to check Cole's accounts. They wanted to unlock the assets I had helped Cole move out of her reach. Everything could be exposed if I didn't act quickly. I started to worry, but it didn't surprise me much. She never let up, even when I had already started planning to protect everything Cole could lose. With my connections, I made sure the bank canceled Mia's request to unlock the accounts. She couldn't access the money as easily as she thought. I also secured all traces of Cole's asset transfers. She had no idea everything had been moved out of her reach. But I understood that, no matter how good I was, nothing is perfect. Mia was not someone who would give up, and she wouldn't stop until she had everything. One night, I received news that made me rethink everything. One of Mia's lawyers had sent a notice stating that she would sue me for blocking the search for Cole's assets. Mia had acted as if she were in control, but I couldn't let her manipulate things. The situation now wasn't just about money, but about Cole's life, the life he had started to rebuild. I couldn't let her destroy everything. I decided to take action one final time, decisively. The next day, I met with Cole. His eyes were still full of worry and fear. He hadn't easily accepted the price he had to pay. But in me, I knew this was the last chance to protect everything he had. We had to face Mia and her lawyer, but this time, not to lose. Cole, I began, looking into his eyes with determination. This is the last time we have to act. I won't let Mia take your life from you again. It's time to end this. He looked at me, his eyes no longer full of confusion or disappointment, but strength I had never seen before. He nodded, confirming that he was ready. We planned a bold move. Using all our connections, I helped Cole prepare for a legal battle, but this time, we wouldn't just protect his assets but turn the tables. Mia would face the truth, and her life would change forever. She would no longer be able to manipulate everything. As we prepared for the lawsuit, I received an unexpected phone call. Mia's lawyer, whom I thought would be our biggest opponent, suddenly made an offer I didn't expect. She requested a meeting, not to argue about the assets or the baby, but to settle an out-of-court agreement. I didn't know what awaited, but I understood one thing. Mia had begun to realize she couldn't win this battle. She was trying to back out, but was it too late? The meeting with Mia's lawyer took place in a small cafe, where the dim light reflected the shadows of hurried customers passing by. She arrived, her demeanor cold, but still unable to hide the tension in her eyes. Her hands kept fidgeting with the papers on the table, as though carefully considering each word before speaking. "Lucas," she began, her tone not softening in the least, "I don't have much time. Mia wants to settle this once and for all." I looked at her, not responding immediately. Though I had prepared for every situation, I knew she wouldn't give up so easily. I had to be very careful. "Settle how?" I asked, sensing that things would soon become clear. "Settle by expanding on what she's lied about, manipulated, and seized?" She took a deep breath, then released a sigh. "Mia knows where this is all heading. She doesn't want everything to be exposed, but she can't keep living in lies. She just wants what's hers. Can you imagine the feeling when everything comes crashing down?" I smiled lightly, but it wasn't a smile of satisfaction. "She doesn't want to face the consequences of her own actions, does she?" She didn't say anything, only sitting quietly, as if thinking over my words. Finally, she looked me straight in the eye and said something I hadn't expected. "We want an agreement. Mia will not pursue the assets anymore, and she won't continue the lawsuit if you let her keep custody of the child." She paused, as if searching for a reaction in my eyes. "And you won't have to pay any alimony." I smirked, but it wasn't a victorious smile. "She wants to keep the child? She doesn't know who she's dealing with." I looked straight into Mia's lawyer's eyes, without hesitation. "Mia wants money and control, but she doesn't realize that there are things far more important." Mia had been playing this game for too long. She didn't just want to control Cole's assets. She also wanted to raise the child as a trophy, even though she was the one who had lied. But now, Cole could live a life free from the shadows of the past. "She can keep the child," I continued, "but she will never have control over Cole or his assets. And if she thinks she can continue deceiving and living off his money, she will have to face a battle she can't win." I stood up, looking at Mia's lawyer with confidence. "I'm not someone who can be easily manipulated. She can play her game, but we'll end it here. Pass this message along to Mia." She didn't respond, only silently gathered the papers on the table and stood up. As she left the cafe, I felt as if a weight had been lifted. Everything had come to a conclusion, and I felt like we had truly won. In the end, Mia realized she couldn't continue this game. Her threats and manipulations couldn't change the truth. She couldn't live in a false relationship, couldn't continue taking what wasn't hers. She decided to back down and didn't pursue the lawsuit anymore. As for Cole, he began rebuilding his life from scratch. Though his heart still carried the scars, I could see he had regained his freedom. He no longer had to live under Mia's control. No more lies, no more manipulation. He could start living the life he wanted. When everything settled down, I realized that the most important thing I could do for Cole was to help him escape the shadow of the past. His life wasn't meant to be one of betrayal and pain. He had a new chance, and now, he wouldn't have to live under the constraints of someone else's wrong decisions. And I, though knowing my feelings for Cole would never be returned, still felt fulfilled. Because I knew I had done the right thing. I had helped my friend escape the nightmare he didn't deserve to face. And that was the greatest victory. Love isn't always reciprocated, but loyalty and friendship are priceless. Sometimes, helping others isn't about receiving affection in return, but about seeing them happy and free. Life may not always be fair, but we can fight to protect what we cherish and help those we love find peace in their lives.